Clear Linux is a distro you often don't hear that much about, especially recently, and for good reason, which I probably mention in the title and the thumbnail. So this was started by Intel back in 2015. It was never really made to target the average desktop user. Now, it's a distro. You can use it on your desktop if you want to, and there are people that absolutely do so. We'll get to those people a bit later. Also, it hasn't stopped people doing things that it very much was not intended for, like gaming on Clear Linux. You can do so. Again, there is nothing stopping you doing so. It's just not who they're targeting. It was competing in that cloud, DevOps, AI, computers in the sky sort of space, providing, in many cases, incredibly aggressive optimizations, which obviously does come with the drawbacks of package availability. But those optimizations, in a lot of cases, did lead to really, really good performance improvements. Now, those were primarily being made, as it's an Intel project, primarily being made in the context of Intel-based systems. However, a lot of those optimizations also applied on AMD chips as well, and all around, it was generally considered one of the faster, if not the fastest distros. Again, package availability made it so it wasn't really as popular as it could have been, and this was never going to be a thing that everybody was running. That was never what it was intended to do. Also, is not based on any existing distro and provided its own package manager. That is SWUPD. Why is it called that? Software update. Did a software engineer name this? Almost certainly. It provided a rolling release model to accommodate upstream changes and security patches basically as quickly as they could deal with them, and also making use of what they referred to as a stateless model of file separation. Basically, it allows the user to play around with files in directories like their home, var, user local, things where the user should be playing with files. And then system files under things like the user directory, these are managed by the Clear Linux system. Obviously, that shares some similarities with the growing immutable Linux distros. It's not an immutable system, it's not based on OS tree, but they're serving very similar sort of goals. Now, a few years back, somebody most of you probably know, Mr. Chris of the Titus Tech, put out a video on Alpine Linux. In this video, he said this.
It's just so darn beautiful. Yeah, Clear Linux, I heard, actually is getting discontinued.
This was uploaded in, 2023.
So the old Intel counterpart of Clear Linux, they threw their hat in the ring and they're like, never mind, we're out. And, I liked Clear Linux for its ideas.
And he just goes on some big tangent about Clear Linux. Now, here's the thing. At the time, back in 2023, this was not true. Chris was just talking out of his ass. This just didn't happen whatsoever. But also, the video did get posted over to the Clear Linux forums. Is Clear Linux being discontinued? Hey guys, I was just running this as sort of background noise and then this dropped. Since I can't find anything about it anywhere, I'd like to ask here directly. Is it true that Clear Linux is being discontinued? Now, one person had some reasonable ideas about how he came to this. Phoronix had not been including Clear Linux in their benchmark for months. Previously, there was one a month. Also, the Clear Linux news blog had not been updated in 3 years at that point, which is a problem, right? Like, you shouldn't have a news feed that's not being updated. Is not a news feed then, at all, right? Like, there's a problem there. And maybe that's how we thought it was discontinued. Either way, it was not discontinued at the time. Also, this person from the team said, no, Clear Linux is not being discontinued. So, a few years later, that exact same person made this post. All good things come to an end. Shutting down Clear Linux OS, which is a very amusing bit of coincidence. Also, look, technically Chris was right. He was just a few years early. So he had a prediction. He had a what do you call it? Like a forecast, like a you know what I'm thinking of. He had a, I'm completely blanking on the word. After years of innovation and community collaboration, we're ending support for Clear Linux OS. This would be annoying, but it would be fine, right? Like, oh, it's gonna end at some point. You got some migration period. Well, that's the part that annoyed people. Effective immediately, Intel will no longer provide security patches, updates, or maintenance for Clear Linux OS, and the Clear Linux OS GitHub repository will be archived in read-only mode. My question, and I don't know why this is the case, is if it's going to be shut down effective immediately, why was this not announced 2 months ago, 3 months ago, right? Then even if it was going to be shutting down today, you have a 3-month grace period. I don't know what's happening within Intel. I don't know how they came to this decision, but like that would have made way more sense and would have annoyed way less people. The only thing that makes any sense to me is suddenly funding was cut, managers were moved around, suddenly Intel just wanted to drop the project, and it wasn't something that was like a long-running decision. It kind of just happened out of nowhere. So as of this post, as of 3 days ago, Clear Linux, dead. No grace period, nothing. It's literally just dead. And I understand why anybody using Clear Linux might be annoyed by that. I would be annoyed by that as well. From the outside, I don't see why you would manage it this way. There doesn't seem to be any sensible reason why you wouldn't give a grace period. Rest assured that Intel remains deeply invested in the Linux ecosystem, actively supporting and contributing to various open source projects and Linux distributions to enable and optimize for Intel hardware. Now, Intel GPUs, the ones that are like on their CPUs, they tend to be incredibly well supported on Linux. And besides weird cases like those Intel webcams from a couple of generations back, Intel is usually not causing any additional suffering on Linux. Usually. There's some cases, there's some oddities, but generally things are good with Intel. We're not talking about another NVIDIA, at least in most cases. A heartfelt thank you to every developer, user, and contributor who helped shape Clear Linux over the last 10 years. Your feedback and contributions have been invaluable. Now, of course, you know, you've got people celebrating, like, hey, thank you for the memories, all this sort of stuff. Of course, you have some people in here being like, yeah, I don't really know why this is happening. This is crazy. No support period, no grace period, nothing like this. Restructurings. That's honestly the best guess I possibly have. Sudden restructurings, and they just didn't consider Clear Linux to be an important project to keep around. Now, some people have noticed things certainly seemed a little bit off. One example being the release page, which wasn't being updated. There was the download directory you could get things, but not the actual release page. That didn't seem like it was being updated in quite a while, and seemed like it was kind of just being left to rot. I guess in many ways, kind of like the blog was a couple of years back. Also, some users are trying to decide on what they want to use next, where they want to go to, what distro they might want to try out. And like, yeah, there's a lot of there's distros out there, right? But Clear Linux is a very specific kind of distro. It's very hyper focused on Intel optimization, and I don't really know of anyone else that's doing that. From everything that I can see, the Clear Linux devs themselves, the people actually doing the engineering work, this doesn't seem to be a choice they had any control over. This, from everything I can see, appears to be something handed down to them from corporate. And there are people who are on the Clear Linux team who are, you know, have been working on it for a very long time now, like, where are they? This person here. Who, they are very, you know, they're just as bothered as everyone else, and they want to do something, and they want to find something better for people. This doesn't seem like it's the engineers shutting down the project. It's kind of just like, well, we were being paid to do this, and now we're not being paid to do it anymore, so we have bills to pay, basically. What's going to happen going forward with the code is kind of unclear because it has been archived, and maybe some of the devs, maybe somebody who likes Clear Linux is going to take up the project and, you know, do it themselves. There's nothing that currently exists, and sort of the appeal of Clear Linux is it had that support from Intel. It was able to do everything it could because it's a corporate distro, and without that, you just don't really have the same force behind it. And it's not like the changes made in this distro just vanished into the ether. These changes have been adopted in various forms in other distros, and, you know, that's gonna keep happening going forward. But the nice thing about having Clear Linux is it was this very focused, very specific distro trying to solve a singular niche. And whilst that niche might not be for everyone, having everybody focused on that individual thing allows you to put a lot of effort into that individual thing. But let me know, were you a Clear Linux user? Where are you going now? Did you expect this to happen? Did you see anything? Did it just come out of nowhere? And you know what? Did you even know this was happening before you saw this video? I'd love to know. So if you liked the video, go like the video. If you really liked the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon, subscribe to Liberape, linked in the description down below. That's going to be it for me, and I'm clear now.
Something like this.